all praise, glory, and honor is most certainly due to the Most High Elohim of the patriarchs Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I want to say peace to each and every one of you in the name of His Son, Yahushua HaMashiach, who we know as Jesus the Christ. So it's a blessing each and every single time that I can come before you to bring a message containing His Word. I never count it as a light thing to do so. In today's message, I want to deal with something that is very important for believers, and that is not being unequally yoked. The Bible warns about being unequally yoked with non-believers. And the reason that is because it leads to sin. Unequally yoked simply means that you have two individuals that are going ultimately in separate directions in their life. It's kind of like if you yoke or connect two animals, and if the animals are not of the same height, you can't plow the field properly. You know, if you are connected with somebody, and then this can be in serious endeavors in life. I'm not talking about somebody that you have a job and then, hey, you guys work in the same factory. That's not what I'm talking about. But when it comes to you like marrying a non-believer, that is an issue. That is an issue, and that can turn to you ultimately losing your salvation, because they are pulling you in one direction as you try to walk the path of righteousness. It is better for you as a believer to walk, if you're going to join with somebody who's on the same path of righteousness as you. If life is already hard enough without complicating your life by connecting to someone who doesn't believe. It makes no sense. But what you do is, well, what you can find rather, is the example in the Bible of that being done, and it's just something that we all should be warned of. Let's go to Corinthians, 2 Corinthians. 2 Corinthians, the 6th chapter. And here Paul writes to the congregation at Corinth in verse 14. Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. Oftentimes you hear this, and people talk about, you'll hear people say, well, who would you like to be with? They're talking about, a spouse or, mate. And they say, well, I don't want to be with anybody that's not making $100,000 a year. I don't want to be unequally yoked because I'm paid. That's actually not, you can say you don't want to be with somebody who doesn't make a lot of money. But that's not really what this is about. Okay? It's not about you having money and somebody not having money. Because the reality is, it's about your character. It's about if the person is serving the Lord, are you serving the Lord? That's the only unequally yoked that he's talking about. Even if you read it here, he says, be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. He didn't say, be ye not unequally yoked together with broke people or people who have a lot of money. Money has nothing to do with it. He says, and then he gives these examples. He said, for what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness, right? And what communion hath light with darkness? And what concord had Christ with Belial? You see how these things are antithetical to one another. This is what he's saying. Or he said, or what part hath he that believeth with an infidel? So the one that believes is of the faith, and the infidel is a non-believer. You both are going in two totally different directions. One's going north, one's going south, one's going east, and the other is going west. Verse 16, and what agreement hath the temple of God with idols? For ye are the temple of the living God, as God hath said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Right? So if you are his, then you need to take heed and not hook up with somebody in these particular endeavors, like marriage, for example. You don't want to deal with somebody that's not a believer. Now, Paul talks about if you were not of the faith, and then you come into the truth and you have a spouse. That's actually a different situation. You can have somebody that is pleased to dwell with you, even though, because you are married to that person, and you never know, that person may convert. But it's a whole entire thing when you come into the truth, and then you say, well, I'm going to get married, and you marry somebody who's a Muslim, or who is a pagan Christian, who is a non-believer. That is not wise to do. And I have seen that done a number of times, over and over and over again. And you know what happens? It's not good. It's not good. I've even had people call me on the phone and ask me, should I marry this person? I say, why would you marry somebody and be with somebody who's not a believer? Crickets. Because I didn't get them the answer that they wanted. But my question is, Number one, why you asking me if you don't want the answer? And number two, what about what the text warns you of? Let's see the first example of being unequally yoked. This is Genesis, the 6th chapter. Now, in Genesis, the 6th chapter, you find one of the most misunderstood and misinterpreted texts in all of the Bible. It says in verse 1, "And it came to pass when man began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose." Now people say, well, these are the angels, the evil angels that they married unrighteous women, or they married women in general. That's actually not what this is about. Sons of God, this is speaking of, first of all, the Bible tells you, Christ said, angels are neither married nor are given in marriage. Right? So they don't marry. Okay? This is not Greek mythology. Secondly, the sons of God, you must qualify. Yes, sons of God can refer to righteous angels, but sons of God can also refer to righteous men. So when those righteous men from the lineage that was reestablished, the righteous lineage that was reestablished with Seth after Cain killed Abel, these righteous men start dealing with unrighteous women. And you know what they did? And you know why they did it, rather? Like so many men do today. Because the woman looks good. Let me tell you something. The Bible tells you that beauty is vain. You want a woman that fears the Lord. Now, am I saying you won't be attracted to a woman physically? No, it's interesting. Just a side note. It's interesting when I bring this up to people. I say, you see somebody in a situation, they're asking you advice. I'm like, well, if you're going to marry someone, you want to marry a righteous woman. Well, this woman look good. I say, but that doesn't have anything to do with, what the book is saying. Because at the end of the day, you want somebody that's righteous. You want a woman of character. You want a virtuous woman if you can find one. And then they say, oh, you said I need to be with somebody ugly. I didn't say that. It's just like, I'll put it like this. If you were waiting for people, if you were waiting on the mate that was literally beautiful, do you know? Because real beauty is rare. Physical beauty is rare. It's mathematics and it's rare. If you're waiting on that, understand you might not be with anybody. Why? Because most people are actually average looking. But does that mean you're not attracted to the person physically? People just go from extreme. Oh, you ain't beautiful. That means you the ugliest human being to ever walk the earth. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you need to, what you need to be worried about, I'll put it like this. It was one football player and his wife, they were people were making comments because she didn't look like this, how women look today that are in that scene. Let's put it like that. And then somebody said, you know what she looked like? They said, what? She looked like a wife. Okay? Because if you actually look at the woman, how she carried herself, and then she was intelligent. Then she carried herself in a particular way. I'm making a point. You want to focus on a woman's character, okay? So they looked at here that the woman looked good, but notice what it says. It says in verse 5, "And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually." Why? Sin became rampant because you had this intermingling. Again, think about it in your own life. If you could see it with friends. It's like when you were growing up, your parents say, hey, you can't hang around this person. Why not? Because that person, you as a kid, hey, they've been in juvenile detention. They get bad grades. They run with gangs, things like this. It's like if you around that person, you're gonna end up doing that. So you think about it. You marry a woman, or you marry a man for that matter, and you trying to serve the Lord, but then your spouse say, well, you keeping a feast of the Lord, but I want to keep Christmas and Easter. You see how you going in two different directions? And then don't bring kids in it. Now you want your kid. I tell you, I see this all the time. You want your kids to do something, but your spouse is on another path. So that's why you have to be mindful of what you do. Let's see another example. And this people who were supposed to be sanctified, the children of Israel, while black people that have been scattered into slavery all over the world, in case you were wondering who they are, notice what the Lord told them when they were about to take the land. This is Deuteronomy 7:1. It says, when the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and hath cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites and the Girgashites and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, no show mercy unto them. He tells you why. He says, neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughters thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. Why? Verse 4. For they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. You saw this with who? Solomon, the wise king. You saw with Solomon that he started dealing with these women, and then he started making all these edifices to these pagan deities. He went astray. Why? Because he got old. He had 700 wives, 300 concubines, and they were worshiping falsely. Now, notice what it says here in verse 6. He said, for thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So he said, you mine. So you can't just hook up, marry rather, other people that are worshiping falsely. And so when he says holy, that's sanctified. So what is it that sanctifies you? Is it just you saying that you are his? Let's go to John the 17th chapter. John the 17th chapter. See, this is what it's all about. He says in verse 17, this is Yehoshua or Christ, he says, sanctify them through thy truth. Thy word is truth. This is how you are sanctified, are set apart. So those who are set apart by what the word is telling them to do, and they are doing it, should not be marrying or being yoked with other people who are not doing that. Does that mean you want the worst for those people? No, you want people to gain salvation. But at the end of the day, you concerned about your own salvation. If you are concerned with your own salvation, you can't be with just anybody. I give this warning to the young. Because you're young and you are, quite frankly, dumb. And this is not me saying something disparaging. This is the truth. It's a saying that this youth is wasted on the young. And I've been there in the sense of making bad decisions when I didn't know. And I've seen young people make horrible decisions and be with people they have no business being with. And I've seen old people be with people they have no business being with when they know better and know what the book says, but their flesh gets the best of them. You are sanctified. You are a child of Elohim. You can't be with the children of men. You can't be with the children who are of the devil. You must keep that in mind as you walk this path if you want salvation. I thank you for your time.
You know her, man.